on just about a page and answers all basic questions as there might be. So these are the two reasons why we have to do this. One is because there are direct questions, and two, you have to do the boxes that I've shortlisted for you and the chapters at a glance at the end of each chapter. As long as you're able to do these two, you should be okay with whatever lies ahead. All right? Good. Now, in chapter number 1, in the annex is at the end of the chapter. There's one specific scheme that has been mentioned as reforms that have been taken to boost entrepreneurship. In that, you have to look at chapter number 1, annex 1. In that, there is something called the Stand Up India scheme. Okay, so please have a look at this. The Stand Up India scheme has been in the news because it has been extended up to the year 2025. What does the scheme want to do? The scheme aims to facilitate bank loans between 10 lakhs to 100 lakh to at least one SC or ST borrower and one woman borrower per bank branch for setting up a greenfield enterprise. This basically means every bank which is covered under the scheme should provide at least one loan to a person from the SC or the ST community and one loan to a female borrower. Okay, and this is to set up a greenfield enterprise. Greenfield means something which is new. This does not mean an expansion of a current business. This does not mean diversifying into an unrelated business. This means these people are setting up a business for the first time. Okay, and in case of non-individual enterprises, which means it is essentially a bunch of people together, a company which has come to a bank, at least 51% of the shareholding and the controlling stake should be held by either an SC, SC or a woman entrepreneur. Okay, if a woman is if the SC, ST is a woman, great, then you have one more place to add one more person. So that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. It's actually good. Okay. Yes, absolutely, Abhishek. The criteria can overlap. This is the same thing as Panchayati Raj, where you need to reserve a few seats for SC, ST depending on population, and 1/3 of the seats also have to be reserved for women. So both of these cases absolutely fine. So even if there is an SC female sarpanch, it still works. Does not make any difference. Okay, so a non-individual enterprise is basically a bunch. It could be a company, it could be a partnership, it could be a cooperative, it could be anything, a group of people basically. Okay, so that's the idea. Okay, right. So this is important. You just need to know this much and nothing more. Clear? Now, this is slightly important. This is slightly technical. So please pay attention. Greenfield is a new project. Okay. Now, just stop writing. Just pay attention because this is going to get slightly technical. Okay, I'll explain what a debt ETF is. I'll explain what ETF is. We'll get to that in just a bit. But let's understand this. Let's see what the context is. In chapter number 2, box number 4, they've spoken about something called debt ETF. ETF stands for Exchange Traded Funds. I'll explain to you what they are because they're slightly complex, but they're very interesting. So what is the context behind this? The Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs, has approved the creation and launch of India's first corporate debt exchange traded fund. Corporate debt exchange traded fund, which would create an additional source of funding for central public sector enterprises, central public financial institutions, and other government organizations, and would increase the participation in the Indian corporate bond market. This bond is called the Bharat Bond ETF. It was launched on 12th December 2019 and has received a strong response from investors across different segments and has been oversubscribed by 1.7 times. It has provided a new window of access to retail investors in the bond market. With regular issuances, the Bharat Bond ETF will help in deepening the bond market in India and develop a yield curve for central public sector enterprises. As I said, I will explain. If you could just wait, I'm just explaining you the context. I will explain everything now. Just calm down. We will get to all the questions. Just hold on a second. Okay, thank you. Just hold on a second. I'll explain each of these and what is the essential idea. Okay, just hold on a second. Now, let me get to the explanation part. Okay, now see. Okay, let's understand. There are certain words that we have used here. The first word that we've used is bond. The second word that we have used is corporate. The third word that we have used is exchange traded fund, ETF. Exchange traded fund. The fourth complicated term that we have used is retail investor. Okay, I will explain each of these four terms to you so that you understand what is going on. So pay attention. This is an empty piece of paper. Okay, on this piece of paper I'm going to write, this paper is worth 100 rupees and I will ask you to buy this piece of paper for 100 rupees. This piece of paper I will then sell to you for 100 rupees. Okay, simple enough. You keep this paper for 100 rupees. This paper then becomes a financial instrument. Now you own this piece of paper. You can sell it to a friend of yours. That friend of yours can sell it to another friend of yours. It absolutely doesn't matter. This piece of paper essentially becomes a financial instrument. Clear? Simple. Now understand, how does this work? Let us say there is a company X. This company X requires a certain amount of money, which in formal terms we call capital, okay, to run businesses. Now, this company X can either use its savings, go to the bank and take a loan, or can issue a financial instrument like this. Now, there can be two kinds of such financial instruments. The first piece of paper is called a share. The second piece of paper is called a bond. A share means this company X says, I require 1,000 rupees. I'm going to make 100 boxes, 100 gift boxes of 10 rupees each, and I'm going to sell these 100 boxes, and whoever owns these boxes owns a part of the company. Okay, Pankaj, I would request you to please wait for some time. Let me explain this and then we'll get back to this. This is not an interview. We have to wait for some time. Okay, because there are a lot of students. We have to answer everybody at the same time. So please hold your horses if you can. Okay, so this becomes a share. So whoever owns this share for 10 rupees owns my company worth 10 rupees. If the company makes profit, then whatever profit I make in the proportion of 10 rupees is given to the people. Clear on this? That's the basic. A share means I have basically taken this and taken this and taken this. This is my entire company, okay? And I have cut my company, broken my company, torn my company into small brackets. And whoever owns, let us say, this much part of my company, okay, this much part will own this much percentage of my company. Now this is worth 10 rupees. So if my company makes profit, I will give you your profit in proportion to your investment. This is the same thing as saying, let us say two of you have come together and two of you have said, we are going to have a partnership wherein you will have 40% owned by partner A and 60% owned by partner B. Okay. Now this partnership firm has made 100 rupees in profit, out of which 60 rupees will go to partner A and 40 rupees will go to partner B, because partner A contributed 60%, partner B contributed 40%. That's exactly what this is. This is just a larger version of the same. What happens because of this is, a company loses its ownership. Now, everybody who owns these boxes owns a share of the company. So, voting rights are also given to them. This is also very risky, because if the company makes profit, the shareholders make profit. If the company makes losses, the shareholders make losses. Clear on this? This is exactly what a share is. Now, a bond. Okay. A bond is basically, this is what a bond is. A bond is, the company says, instead of going to a bank for a loan, I'm going to take a piece of paper. Let us say I'm going to take another piece of paper, and on this piece of paper, I'm going to write, this piece of paper is worth 100 rupees. You keep this piece of paper, and every year on this piece of paper, I'm going to give you a 10% interest. This is what is called a bond. This is your piece of paper. On the piece of paper, I will write, this piece of paper is worth 100 rupees. You keep this with you. And whenever you have this bond with you, on a yearly basis, I'm going to give you a 10% interest. This is like the company becomes a bank, and the company now is going to take loan from the people and not from the bank. कंपनी कहता है मुझे बैंक से लोन नहीं चाहिए, मैं जनता से लोन ले लूंगा. मैं एक बैंक से 100 करोड़ लूं या 100 करोड़ जनता से 10-10 रुपए लूं, बात तो एक ही है. Which basically means, what I can do is, I can either go to the bank and take 100 crores, or I can take 1 rupee from 100 crore people. It's the same thing. I'm going to return the money to the bank. I will return the money to the people. So when the company takes a loan from the people, it is called a bond. In this case, the ownership remains with the company. The ownership does not go to the people, because what the people have done is, they have taken a secure route. If you had bought a share, the company collapsed, your share money is gone. But with bond, no matter what happens, okay, you will still ensure, no matter what happens, if you have a bond, you will make sure that you will get an X amount of interest without fail. Clear? So bondholders do not face a loss. Doesn't matter. A bond is like you are essentially paying money to your people who have taken, from whom you've taken a loan. Clear? So that's the basic idea. I'm again requesting you, please let me finish. Then I will take your questions, because this is especially for me to make sure that there are no tech issues. Okay, let me finish the whole thing. I will cover all the questions later on. You can post the questions later. Okay, let me finish this in absolute seamlessness. Okay, thank you. So that is the basic difference between a share and a bond. A share is basically company cutting off its arm and cutting off its organs and giving it to the people. So the company is owned by everybody. A bond is, instead of the company taking a loan from a bank, the company is taking a loan from the people. And that is the basic idea. Clear on this? This is your basic explanation. Now, this could be a government owned company. This could be a private owned company, which means a government owned company will have government shares. A government owned company will also have government bonds. So that's the basic idea. So the shares of Reliance are private shares. The shares of BSNL are government shares because BSNL is owned uh, uh, by the government. In the same way, Reliance can also take a loan from the people. It's called a private bond. In the same way, the Air India can also take a loan from the people directly. It's called a government bond. Both at the end of the day are basically pieces of paper. One pieces of paper, yes, very similar to the same that we've discussed in startups. A piece of paper. Whoever owns this piece of paper basically owns that financial instrument. Now, I can give it to you, you can give it to somebody else can give it to somebody else, and the cycle can continue. Okay? That's the basic idea. Clear on this? Good. So this is what is meant by a share and a bond. Okay? No problem at all? Good. Now let's get to the next level. So do we understand corporate and private? Basically, corporate and private mean the same thing, and government is obviously government. So we understand what is a bond. We now understand what is corporate. Now we need to understand what are ETFs. Now hold on a second. This is going to get slightly technical. So let's pay attention. Okay. Just give me a second. Let me just rub this off so that you'll understand this. Okay. Now let's start. Let us say there is a person called Suresh and there is a person called Ramesh. Both Suresh and Ramesh like a particular kind of chocolate. Okay? So let's understand how this works. So hold on a second. Now Suresh and Ramesh want to invest a certain amount of money in the stock market, in the share market. Now what they do is Suresh opens WhatsApp because that's the most credible piece of information in the world. And on WhatsApp, somebody tells Suresh to go buy Vodafone shares. Okay. Now Ramesh reads Economic Times, and in Economic Times, Ramesh understands that okay, the pharma sector is going to grow, so Ramesh wants to invest in the shares of, let us say, Ranbaxy. Okay, they are both investing in the shares of Vodafone and the shares of Ranbaxy. This is basically how a normal share works. Simple as this. You go to a stockbroker. The stockbroker says, "हाँ भाई मेरे पास." The stockbroker reads out like a restaurant menu, like how you have restaurant menu, masala dosa, onion dosa, uttapam dosa. So they Vodafone shares, Ranbaxy shares, Air India shares, please don't buy Air India shares, things like that. The stockbroker is like a waiter at a restaurant. He'll tell you or she'll tell you what to buy, what not to buy. Clear? But what is still happening right now is you're buying individual shares. Now, these could be shares and these could also be bonds. Vodafone might be selling shares. Vodafone might be selling bonds. Ranbaxy might be selling shares. Ranbaxy might be selling bonds. In the same way, for example, Bharat Petroleum, right? Let's say might be selling shares, might be selling bonds. Hindustan Petroleum Corporation Limited might be selling shares, might be selling bonds. Clear on this? So this is basically the government or the private sector selling. But see, here is the idea. What happens is this is too much commitment. What Ramesh and Suresh have done is they have decided to focus all their energies on one. देखो, कटेगा सबका, and that is exactly what is going to happen. What if this company goes wrong? What if this company goes wrong? So what happens is the money that Ramesh and Suresh have spent are suddenly going to go down. So what do we do? There is another way out. There is another way out where what you can do is there is another way out, and what you can do is actually this. See what is going to happen. What Ramesh and Suresh are going to do is they're going to take a big box. Inside this box, there are going to be a bunch of different companies whose either shares or bonds are going to be present. They will invest in the box as a whole. So let us say this is a share box. So you have Reliance's share, Vodafone share, Airtel share. You can also have government shares also, Air India share. Let us say you have BSNL share. You can have Adani share, which is semi-government, semi-private, because we know why. So exactly. So then what basically happens is you basically have a big box of this. Now, this can also be a big box of bonds. So, this big box of shares or this big box of bonds is actually called an exchange traded fund. That's it. So, what happens is this big box actually has a value. Let us say this big box value is 1,000 rupees, because this 1,000 rupees comes from 100 rupees here, 500 rupees here, 200 rupees here, and things like that. Okay, so it can either be a share or it can be a bond. Clear on this? That's the basic idea. This is what is known, either shares or bonds, because both of them are two different financial instruments. Okay, so what now happens because of this is that instead of spending all your money in one, you are now going to spend all your money in a box which has multiple. अगर एक काटेगा तो दूसरा बचाएगा, दूसरा काटेगा तो तीसरा बचाएगा. This is collective spending. This is like you invest in 5 different things. Even if one goes wrong, at least 4 will happen. This is like the same thing as saying you prepare for UPSC also, state services also, RBI also, SSC also, banking also, tehsil also. Kuch to ho hi jayega. Clear on this? So that's the basic idea. What you do by preparing for multiple exams is also called an exchange traded fund. Clear? So that is exactly what an exchange traded fund is. So now what has happened is we now have an exchange traded fund for bonds which the government has launched. Now here you will have a combination of multiple things: Air India, BSNL, MTNL, Gas Authority of India, Steel Authority of India. It can also have private companies. Like for example, if I remember, Axis Bank is also here. Now somebody has actually asked a very good question. Let me answer this question. The difference between so do we understand this an exchange traded fund? Now let's understand this. May I please request you to please keep your comments in the question box. Let this be here only and only for tech issues to be reported. Otherwise, you're disturbing the learning experience. I hope you understand this. Please do that. Let us also maintain lockdown in the classes so that we can administer well. Okay? Good. So let's understand this. I hereby authorize a lockdown. Okay, good. So this is the same thing as a mutual fund, but there is a very basic difference. The basic difference is a mutual fund is traded only after the market closes, whereas an exchange traded fund can be traded throughout the day at any given point of time across multiple occasions. You can buy and sell as much as exchange traded fund as much as you want to, but if it's a mutual fund is only traded at the end of the closing of the market. A mutual fund is basically you put 50 rupees, the bank puts 50 rupees, now there is 100 rupees. Now that 100 rupees is going to be spent across multiple places in the market. But that happens only after the market closes. Clear on this? So that's the basic idea. The retail investor is you and me. We as individuals can also buy deals. So you can open what is called a demat account. Okay, demat account, and you can go log into your demat account. Your bank will help you open this, and you can buy certain from the exchange traded funds. So that's the basic idea. Now hold on a second, I'm going to look at a few questions. So sir, one second. So sir, basically risk diversification. One second. What do I mean by closing of market? Okay, government offices close from 9 o'clock to 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock they shut the door. So the same way, after a specific time in the evening, trading of the market is not allowed. You can't buy and sell your shares 24 hours. They can only be bought and sold within a specific time window. That is why we say Sensex opened at this much, closed at this much. Okay. All right. How is Bharat Bond ETF different from Bharat 22? Basically, it's a different version. Bharat 22 was for both shares and bonds, whereas Bharat Bond ETF is basically for only bonds and covers both government and private as well. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Right. So, okay, Akash. So, sir, basically, risk diversification of a portfolio is ETF. ETF. Absolutely. ETF is the same as portfolio diversification. Yes. Okay, sure. So these companies within the box come from similar sectors? No, they can be from anywhere. ETF and mutual funds are basically ETF. I've said this before. Akhil, I'm sorry. I don't teach dominantly in Hindi. Only my jokes are in Hindi because me speaking Hindi itself is a joke. So that is why I don't take longer classes in Hindi. Okay. So the difference between ETF and mutual funds is we've discussed ETF can be traded throughout the day and mutual fund is only when the market closes. Great. Okay. A commercial paper is usually issued by a bank. So since these are, Arpit has a very good question. Since these are derivatives based off Nifty 50, isn't their value about to crash in the prevailing conditions? Yes, absolutely, Arpit. This is again a question of speculation, and I am not very sure how the market will work. Because if I knew how the market would work, I would be not a poor man. So that is why. But yes, it is good that it could happen. Yes, absolutely. All right, excellent. So we figured this out. This is what a debt ETF is. So Bharat Bond ETF is essentially the same thing. Clear? All right. Next. Chapter 2, Annex 1, we are now looking at Sabka Vikas Legacy Disputement Settlement Scheme 2019. This was also spoken about yesterday in the Finance Minister's address, where the deadline has been extended to 30th June, if I'm not wrong. So just this was mentioned in the economic survey, and that is why it is important. Please understand this. Okay. So let us start. So it is called the Sabka Vikas Legacy Dispute Settlement Scheme of 2019. What is this? Let's understand. It is a one-time measure for liquidation of past disputes of excise, service tax, and 26 other indirect tax enactments, laws around indirect tax. Now let me explain this to you. You may remember of a rhyme, a poem when you were growing up. Johnny, Johnny, yes, Papa. Eating sugar, no, Papa. Telling lies, no, Papa. And then Papa beat up Johnny if Johnny was in India. Correct? This is exactly what it is. If you have not paid your taxes, come to the government, tell the government, sorry, I have done a mistake, then the government will say, no problem, you pay your due, we will not charge any penalty, we will not send you to jail. That is exactly what Sabka Vishwas Scheme 2019 is. So it provides opportunity of voluntary disclosure to non-compliant taxpayers. That the scheme provides that eligible persons shall declare the unpaid tax dues and pay the same in accordance with the provisions of the scheme. The scheme provides certain immunities, including penalty, interest, or any other proceedings, including prosecution to those who pay the declared tax dues. So this basically means if I am somebody who is supposed to pay, for example, GST, and I have decided to not pay GST. Now I will have to pay a penalty on a daily basis on the GST that I have not paid. Under this scheme, I can go to the government and say that, boss, I am sorry, I have committed a mistake. I am willing to pay whatever GST I have to. Please don't send me to jail. Please don't give me a penalty. I will be a good boy from tomorrow onwards. That is basically what is meant. The relief is you will not be sent to jail. No additional penalty, no additional interest would be charged on you. No tax penalties would be charged for you. For example, if I have to pay 5,000 rupees as GST, and I just forget to pay it, or I say I will not pay it, under this scheme, I only have to pay 5,000. The government will not add any interest, no penalty. They will not send me to jail. Clear on this? That is why it is important. Clear? So that's the basic idea. Clear on this? All right. Excellent. So it is this. Okay. So it is your indirect tax entitlement. For direct tax, there is Sabka Vivad se Vishwas scheme, which is also a law. So, and I'm going to have a class on important legislations on 27th at 4 o'clock. I will talk about it in that class where we are looking at this direct tax also. So don't worry, we're going to do that also. Don't worry. Next, chapter 6, box 1 is, I think, perhaps one of the most important. I'm not going to get into the technical details because they're not needed. These are some important schemes that have been mentioned in the economic survey, which are very, very important with respect to climate change. Okay, so I just list down a few of the important ones and I'll just give you a broad overview. This is more than enough because everything in environment is basically making either the environment better or increasing efficiency or decreasing harassment. So we'll get to that. Okay, first is National Solar Mission. So, okay, first is National Solar Mission. It basically aims to increase the share of solar energy in the total energy mix. Now, there are certain gigawatt targets. We have achieved a little bit of this. You are not going to be asked the specific targets. How much solar energy are we producing? To what extent are we producing? That's not needed. The National Solar Mission is basically to increase the share of solar energy in the total energy mix. So we get some energy from coal, we get some energy from wind, we get some energy from water, we also get some energy from the sun. So the percentage of solar energy should be increased in the total energy input of the country. Okay. Then you have the National Water Mission. The National Water Mission focuses on the monitoring of groundwater, aquifer mapping, capacity building, water quality monitoring and other baseline studies. So this basically means making sure that India does not have a water crisis. You should have better water management techniques such as rainwater harvesting, such as well harvesting, things like these. So basically anything and everything that makes sure that we have enough water across all parts of the country. You do not need to know the specific targets, the specific components. Nobody is going to ask you those. Okay. Then is something called the National Mission for a Green India. Now this envisages a holistic view of greening and focuses on multiple ecosystem services along with carbon sequestration and emission reduction. okay, envisages a holistic view of greening and focuses on multiple ecosystem services along with carbon sequestration and emission reduction. Now, this basically means you have to build more of a green cover in the country, and you have to reduce carbon emissions. You have to make sure that the general forest cover is increasing. So, if you read, the mission emphasizes or emphasized the landscape approach to treat large contiguous areas of forest and non-forest, public and private lands, with the key role of communities in planning, implementation, and monitoring. Okay. Yes, the Green Credit Scheme is also a sub scheme under the National Mission for Green India. Okay, so that's the basic idea. Okay, implementation authorities are not important because you have multiple people implementing it. Wherever I think it's important, Abhishek, we will answer these questions on a certain point. Clear on this? Okay. So the national mission is basically for creating more green cover in the country. Okay, right. Now, National Mission for Sustainable Habitat. The National Mission on Sustainable Habitat is implemented through three specific programs. First is Atal Mission on Rejuvenation and Urban Transformation. Second is Swachh Bharat Mission. Now this includes Swachh Bharat Rural and Swachh Bharat Urban, and the Smart Cities Mission. So this includes whatever you can do to make sure that the burden of population in a given town is not too much. So this actually includes creation of a metro line. This also includes rapid bus transport systems. This includes expansion of existing metro lines. Basically, making cities more sustainable, dependent on solar energy, dependent on good sewage management, also ensuring rehabilitation for people who work in the unorganized sector in a city. Everything. The biggest misconception people have with the National Mission on Sustainable Habitat is that it is only about transport. Transport is a key component, but it also includes anything and everything which affects urbanization as a general problem. So that's the National Mission on Sustainable Habitat. It's very, very important. You should know this because it has not been asked in a very well. Okay. Swachh Bharat Rural and Swachh Bharat Urban work under two different ministries. Swachh Bharat Rural is under Drinking Water and Sanitation. Swachh Bharat Urban is under the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. So these are the two different ministries. Yes, so drinking water and sanitation and Jal Shakti are interchangeable. They're essentially the same thing. Yeah, all right. Next, the National Mission for Sustainable Agriculture. This aims at now. Please wait. I'm going to look at your questions in a bit. So let me just finish these up. The National Mission on Sustainable Agriculture aims at enhancing food security and protection of resources. Now, I've just explained these. You don't have to do the technical details. Targets include 3.5 lakh hectare of area under organic farming, 3.7 lakh under precision agriculture, 4 lakh hectare under the system of rice intensification, 3.41 lakh hectare under diversification to less water consuming crop, 3.9 lakh hectare area under plantation in arable land, and 7 bypass protein feed making. Okay, this mission has resulted in the formation of the National Innovations on Climate Resilient Agriculture, a network project. This basically means we are taking into consideration any public or private innovations that we can have, technological, industrial, any innovation that we can have to make our agriculture more sustainable. So a balance between cash and food crops, better systems of irrigation, better systems of organic farming, a balancing of rice intensification and things like these. So you don't need to know the technical numbers here, but yes, you should understand that this covers organic farming, rice intensification, precision irrigation. Precision irrigation means pani waste nahi hona chahiye. It basically means there is one pipe, the pipe has water, the water should go into the field, should not come to the roads. Okay, that's what. So drip irrigation, for example, is one of those examples. Absolutely, yes. Per drop, more crop. Absolutely. Okay, good. Next is National Mission for Sustaining the Himalayan Ecosystem. Understood, understood. I understand that you guys understand agriculture very well. It's very feels makes me very happy. Good, good, excellent. Now, okay, next we move to the National Mission for Sustaining the Himalayan Ecosystem. This aims to evolve a suitable management and policy measures for sustaining and safeguarding the Himalayan ecosystem. So what we've done is we've set up centers in the Himalayan region which look at protection of the habitat, which look at dealing with waste. So what happens is people go climb mountains and they climb mountains with a lot of stuff and they leave the stuff there. And what happens is that the base camps at these mountains become very, very dangerous. They become very, very these can become very, very environmentally problematic. Okay, and next is National Mission on Strategic Knowledge for Climate Change. So National Mission on Strategic Knowledge for Climate Change is basically teacher training for environment. It's the same thing as teacher training for environment. That's all that there is. Clear on this? Okay, that's the basic difference. It seeks to build a system that can inform and support national action for ecologically sustainable development. Ecologically sustainable development. Okay, so now let's understand how this is going to be. Okay, let's figure out what this is. Right now. Somebody's asked me how can questions like these be asked. So you may actually get a question: which of the following are included under the National Mission for Sustainable Agriculture? You would say food security, option 1, organic farming, option 2, drip irrigation, option 3, 4, rice intensification, and your prelims options would be 1 and 2, 2 and 3, 3 and 4, all of the above. In most cases, the answer is going to be all of the above. So that is how questions like these can be asked. So that is why. Yes, the National Action Plan on Climate Change is like the Samagra Shiksha for environment. The Samagra Shiksha is your umbrella scheme. The same way, this is your umbrella project under which you have these little components. Okay. Now, next is crop insurance portal, the National Crop Insurance Portal. This is also very, very important because it is in Chapter 7, Box 2. It is basically, if you have, we've discussed Ayushman Bharat. So we're going to have digital payments in Ayushman Bharat. So everybody is going to have their own login. The state government will have their own login. Central government will have their own login. The insurance company will have their own login. If the state government has a trust where they put the insurance premium in, they will have their own login. You and I, as let us say beneficiaries of Ayushman Bharat, will have our own login. So everybody can log in and see, yes, this is the larger data, this is how money has to be paid. It's basically e-governance. Okay, so that's what the National Crop Insurance Portal is. So what is it? It's basically a web integrated IT platform that provides interface amongst all stakeholders to access and enter data relating to insured farmers under PMFPI, Fasal Bima Yojana, and restructured weather-based crop insurance scheme. कि मतलब मैं गेहूं उगाया और फ्लड आ गया तो गेहूं खत्म हो गया, so मर जाएगा, so I need some compensation. So that's the basic idea. Okay, so restructured weather-based crop insurance. Some, like for example, if you have house insurance, if earthquake happens, house falls, then somebody pays you because you had mitigated that risk. So that is the larger idea. Okay, so yes, all right. So all stakeholders, as I've said before, which includes states, banks, insurance companies, farmers for direct online enrollment, common service center which integrates all of this involvement, which are involved in the enrollment process, have been provided an interface on this portal through which the enrollment process is executed. As I said before, this is basically an online platform which everybody can sign up for. The farmer will have their own login, the bank will have their own login, the insurance company will have their own login, the states will have their own login, the center can also have their own login, like how you have an enrollment center for Aadhaar, the same way. Okay, it envisages the creation of demand for government share of premium subsidy from the portal itself. It envisages the creation of demand for government share of premium subsidy from the portal itself, which means the portal will automatically tell the government that your premium has to be paid. So basically, like Ayushman Bharat, if the premium for the farm is 100 rupees, let us say 60% is paid by the center, 40% is paid by the states. Let us assume that is the case. Then in that case, yes, Pankaj, yes, in that case, this 40% can actually be paid by the center. Now, that is essentially, so the center will get a notification. Like how you get an email, the center get an electronic notification that, boss, it's your time to now pay up, on the basis of which funds would be released to the concerned insurance companies, and as a step the portal would facilitate the admissible claims which could be settled directly to the farmer bank accounts by their respective insurance companies through portal to avoid delay in the credit of claim amount to farmer's account and for proper monitoring, which basically means if there is, for example, a farmer is claiming insurance, boss, there was a flood, now my crop has gone to the waste, now what do I do then basically electronically only the claim will be processed and the money will directly be sent to the farmer's account, so that the farmer at least is secure for basic financial needs. So that's the basic idea. That's what the National Crop Insurance Portal is. Okay, so that's essentially what is happening. Good. Okay, good. That's all. That's nothing more than that is required. Okay, so if the farmer can lie, don't worry, we will verify. ऐसे तो everybody can lie, but the idea is farmers will have yes. So we will verify. Don't worry. Is Aadhaar and PAN linked? You have to ask the PMO for the same. Obviously, you need to have some verification for the same. So there's going to be some linking. Yes, there is an Aadhaar linking for things like these. Yes. Now this is the last part. This is important. We've discussed a part of these before also, but this is important. There is a specific box on programs and schemes in higher education. The first is Samagra Shiksha. Okay. So I'm going to tell you what Samagra Shiksha is. We've discussed this before also, but I'll still cover this. Okay. So Samagra Shiksha is what is called an umbrella scheme because it looks like an umbrella, like the National Climate Action Change. Okay, National Plan on Climate Action Change. So what happens under Samagra Shiksha is all other schemes, everything under school age wants to go to school should necessarily be guaranteed schooling. It is applicable to both government and private schools. And in private schools also, you would see, basically what you would see is 25% EWS category. Yes, absolutely, Aditya. The World Bank also funds. Yes, absolutely. Yes. So that is Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan. Okay. The second is Rashtriya Madhyamik Shiksha Abhiyan. Rashtriya Madhyamik Shiksha Abhiyan. Now, Rashtriya Madhyamik Shiksha Abhiyan is from 14 years till the end of school. मतलब पूरा स्कूल एजुकेशन तक कि 14 साल तक सर्व शिक्षा, 14 के बाद राष्ट्रीय माध्यमिक शिक्षा, which basically looks at increasing enrollment and retention in middle school, senior school and senior secondary school. And the third is National Teacher Training Mission. So school में टीचर लोग को भी सिखाना पड़ता है कि वो ठीक से पढ़ाएगा. So all your teacher training initiatives in school now come under largely called Samagra Shiksha. Okay, so from 6 years till the end of school, and all the teachers also are under the National Teacher Training Mission. Clear on this? Yes. So this is called Samagra Shiksha. Okay, Uchtar Abhiyan beta is for college because it has Uchtar. Uchtar means high. High means higher education. Higher education is college. So Uchtar, the answer lies in the word itself. Okay, all right. So this is Samagra Shiksha. Second, national mission called Nishtha. Now, Nishtha. Okay, Nishtha, a national initiative for school heads and teachers, a holistic advancement under the centrally sponsored scheme of Samagra Shiksha. As I discussed before, the Samagra Shiksha has everything under school. This is a teacher training and a principal training scheme. It has just been launched last year, so it'll be under Samagra Shiksha. Pankaj, I am sorry for your loss, but can we please focus? That is why we have education schemes. Okay, so that you don't have to worry about losses. Let's pay attention. Pankaj, thank you. Okay, so this is for higher education. All right. Okay, this is, yeah. Next is, this is important, Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya National Mission for Teacher Training. This is for college professors. Okay, although it says teachers, but it is for higher education. Okay, so somebody who was asking Uchtar, this is for Uchtar teachers. Okay, higher education. Nishtha is for school education. Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya is for higher education. Yes. Yes, thank you, Sudhanshu. Yes, that is the correct abbreviation. Congratulations. Which aims at building a strong professional cadre of teachers by setting performance standards and creating top class institutional facilities for innovative teaching and professional development of teachers in higher education. Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya is under Ministry of Human Resources and Development. Nishtha is under Samagra Shiksha. Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya scheme is a separate scheme. Okay. Next is Higher Education Financing Agency. I will tell you what is important from this as far as the P is concerned. Please understand this. This is very important. Okay. So, Higher Education Financing Agency, HEFA. I'm only going to tell you what is relevant for the P. It is basically a non-banking finance corporation. What is an NBFC? It is a bank that usually does not give loans. It's a bank that does not give loans. 91% of HEFA is owned by Ministry of Human Resources and Development, and 9% of it is owned by Canara Bank. Yes, excellent. I'm so happy to see that you remember these. Now, HEFA gives loans as of this moment only to central educational institutions. Any central education institution, school and college included both. So this would include Kendra Vidyalaya, this would include IIT Delhi, this would include Delhi University, any school or college that is owned by the central institution. And these loans are given for a specific reason. Okay, for example, IIT Delhi wants big telescope because they want to see what is in the sky. So you will give them money only to build and buy a specific telescope. Okay, for example, Kendra Vidyalaya wants computer. So very specifically, a loan for Kendra Vidyalaya to buy computer or to build an auditorium. Why Canara Bank? Because they had a tender, they had an invitation, a proposal, and they liked Canara Bank, and blue is their favorite color, so Canara Bank. It was essentially done for those purposes. Okay, so that is why. No, state institutions are not covered under this. There is a proposal that state institutions should be covered under this, but no, it is not covered under for state institutions. In fact, we are hoping to later extend it for state institutions because the people who actually need more money are state institutions. Central institutions are already flourishing with funds. Okay, All right. Excellent. So this is what HEFA is. That's all you need to know. Now, depending on the nature, for example, HEFA gave 10 rupees to IIT Delhi, gave 50 rupees to Delhi University, and uh, let us say gave 70 rupees to Kendra Vidyalaya. HEFA is basically an NBFC, which is a bank that does not give deposits. I'm so sorry in case I wrote loans. Sorry. A bank that does not accept deposits. It only and only gives loans. Okay, that is what an NBFC is. All right. Thank you. So that's the basic. Now, depending. See, IIT Delhi has good fees, good students. So IIT Delhi is expected to pay 10 rupees fully back. Okay. And Delhi University, you have a lot of students, but very little fees. So we'll expect Delhi University, you only pay 20 rupees back. The remainder 30 rupees, MHRD will give Delhi University to pay back. This is basically meaning मेरे से लोन लेना और मेरे से ही लोन लेके मेरा ही लोन चुकाना. Take the loan from SBI, then take another loan from SBI to pay the loan to SBI. This is called loanception. Okay, this is essentially what is happening. Clear on this? So that's the basic idea. Now, this is why we do it, because there are some institutions which are financially stable. There are some institutions which are not financially stable. So that is the basic idea. That's essentially how this is done. HEFA is a non-profit company, which basically means whatever money that they make in the form of interest is reinvested back and is given back in the form of loans. Another example of a non-profit company is GSTN, the Goods and Tax Network, which basically means whatever money that the Goods and Tax Network makes, it is a fully government-owned company. The money is put back into improving collections for GST. So non-profit company is a company which does not pay profits or dividends on shares. Whatever money that they pay, whatever money that they make is reinvested back into the business, because you're essentially doing it for a larger cause. And this is also one of the reasons why. Canara Bank is taking a 9% stake, because Canara Bank is able to fulfill its CSR obligations by investing money in HEFA. A long form of HEFA is Higher Education Financing Agency. Okay, all right. What MHRD gives 30 is also not a loan. No. MHRD gives 30 rupees. It's basically, this is what happens. I'll explain. Don't worry, Pankaj. I understand that this is very important for you. I will explain this to Pankaj. Pankaj is troubled today. I will explain this to Pankaj. Don't worry. So what this means is, Higher Education Financing Agency gave 50 rupees to Delhi University. Now, Delhi University is only supposed to pay 20 rupees. Now, HEFA is 91% owned by MHRD and 9% owned by Canara Bank. Now, this is the same thing as X has two parents. Usually, a person has two parents, mom and dad. Now, X took 50 rupees of loan from dad. To pay 50 rupees of loan, X took 50 rupees from mom and then paid back dad. Clear on this? That's essentially what is happening. DU is going to take a grant from MHRD for 30 rupees and pay off HEFA. So MHRD is going to pay DU and also going to pay DU again. Yes, that is the basic problem. Yes, with all of this, but whatever interest that they make has to be reinvested back, and reinvested back in the form of a loan to another institutions. Okay, yeah. So NBFC gets money because they have a corpus. If they have, say, 1,000 crore corpus, then 91% of 1,000 crores is by MHRD and 9% of 1,000 crores is by Canara Bank. Okay, that is what it is. Clear. Understood. Right. Now, next is this. Swayam. Swayam 2.0. Swayam is basically an academy owned by Government of India, but free. So yes, I'll come to NEET. Just give me some time. I'll come to NEET. Don't worry. Okay, I'll come to NEET. So it's basically an academy owned by Government of India, but free. That is what Swayam is. So Swayam is basically an academy plus upgrade, but free, owned by the government. So reputed universities and colleges reputed universities and colleges now will offer full online degree programs that you can take sitting at home from Swayam's platform. Okay? Yes, and that's the basic idea. That's basically what Swayam is. Swayam is basically an education portal owned by the government. Yes. IGNOU is also the same thing. IGNOU is physical, where you have to go, and Swayam is digital. It's the same thing. Yes. Yes. Now I look at NEET, the National Education Alliance for Technology. Please understand what this is. This is going to get slightly difficult. So IGNOU is not free, no doubt. IGNOU is not free. Swayam is free. Yes, Shivani. Thank you for pointing that out. Yes. Okay. NEET. NEET basically is to better exams using artificial intelligence. Okay? Better exams using artificial intelligence. So let's understand what this means. Now just don't write anything and see. Let us say there are 500 people who are watching. Yes. There are 500 people who are watching this session right now. All of you have been given a test paper, and the test paper has the exact same questions. Okay? This is called regular testing. We want to use artificial intelligence to develop something called adaptive testing. Now, adaptive testing would mean, let us say you are person X and you have received a paper. You have gotten the first question wrong. Now, using artificial intelligence, we will figure out why have you gotten your first question wrong. Have you gotten it wrong because of concept, because of fact, because of both, or let us say you made a silly mistake. Depending on the same, your next question would be different. So each child gets to basically have, yes, a lot like GMAT, each child basically gets to have their own ways or their own difficulty level as and when the child writes the paper. Now this is just an idea right now. So NEET is basically, we have invited for proposals from edtech companies such as Unacademy, Baiju, from Upgrade, from everywhere else, from Udemy, that we've invited proposals on can we use artificial intelligence for in the same. Yes, Pankaj, Swayam is Indian Coursera but owned by the government also. Clear? Yes, so that's the basic thing, right? So this is what it is. Refinancing is basically when you receive the money. So refinancing would mean two things, Professor X. So it basically means two things. One is you've received money returned to you as a loan, and then you've given it back to and you've given a loan to another person. Or a second version of refinancing is I have given loan to X has taken that loan and given it to Y on a higher rate of interest. It could mean both of these things. Refinancing has nothing to do with HEFA. You take the loan and you give it whatever interest that you've received, whatever money you've received, you give another loan to another institution in a cyclical process. Okay. So now just hold on a second. I'm going to look at a couple of questions and see if I can answer them. Sir, India Yearbook के important topic बता देते यार, मैंने नहीं पढ़ी है तो मेरे को नहीं आती. Sorry. I don't think India Yearbook is important. So I have not read it this year. So I honestly don't know. Sorry. Are these called MOOC platforms, Purva? Yes. MOOC stands for Massive Open. Yes. So MOOC stands for Massive Open Online Courses. Yes, this is essentially one of those. Yes. Okay. Apart from CSR obligation, does an entity have the incentive to share a non-profit company? Yes, the fact that you get voting rights. If I'm giving 10,000 rupees to an NGO and I'm buying shares worth 10,000 rupees in a non-profit company, I will at least get voting rights in a non-profit company. Whatever money I give to an NGO does not get me any voting rights. Okay. No, these loans are not interest free. All right. Okay. Excellent. Uh, right. Done. So this is it. Please leave your questions. Yes, Sonu, I'll answer this. Yes, yes, very important. Yes, I'll answer this question. Don't worry. Just give me a second. I just need 2 minutes of your time. This is important. So as you would know that okay, just pay attention. Just take 2 minutes. Just take 2 minutes. I'll just take 2 minutes. So Mrunal, who's the godfather of economics when it comes to UPSC, Rakesh sir, who is a retired IS officer, who's very very good with current affairs, and myself. Uh, the least qualified to be a part of this are the three of us have our academic directors. We have come together via an academy, and what we are essentially doing is we are creating a bunch of test papers. For the prelims, there are going to be 5 test papers, and these 5 test papers are all free of cost, so that you don't have to pay any money for the same, and you can entertain these, and you can attempt these. I'm just leaving the link here. It is bit.ly/ unacademy prelims Atish. Okay. Unacademy prelims Atish. bit.ly/ unacademy prelims Atish. Okay. So yeah, it is it. And it starts from today apparently. I've already submitted the papers, and they have to be attempted. If you can, it'll be very nice of you. We'll be able to give you a better standing. I'll also analyze a couple of papers. I've already given my email ID before. I'll just give my email ID. I have some emails pending from yesterday also, which I will reply. Just hold on a second. Just hold on a second. I am posting my email ID, which is right here. Okay. In case, please leave your doubts like you have been yesterday. I will see you guys on 27th at 4 p.m. for important legislations, the class that we had to postpone because of tech issues, but I'll see you on 27th at 4 p.m. After the class is over, it'll mean the world to me to if you could leave some feedback because it will help me get better. And always I always like listening to feedback, good or bad. Okay. Thank you so much. Take care. See you guys. Leave your questions in an email. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. See you guys on 27th at 4 o'clock. See you. Bye. Thank you.